of 15 typhoons. The Queen smiles in appreciation. Perfect formation. Oh, that's wonderful. But it's pretty noisy. And here we are, the climax of the Platinum Jubilee fly past. No better sight in red, white and blue. 9 Hawks. The RAF aerobatics team, the Red Arrows. You get the sense, Katie, that the Queen rather enjoyed that, smiling all the way.
Oh, he will. You know what they say, when the Queen smiles, she lights up a room. Well, she's lit up the Mall and beyond today. She looked like she was enjoying every moment, and to see her interact with her little great-grandchildren like that was just a joy to watch.
And listen to the response when the Queen waves. People want her to understand that they are sending their good wishes too. It's palpable, isn't it?
It absolutely is. There was no guarantee that we would see the Queen today. We know she's been battling with these episodes.
Not to come to the parade would be able to make an appearance, and this is our answer, isn't it?
This is our answer. This is our Queen, our platinum, record-breaking monarch, looking resplendent in blue. The Queen who said she had to be seen to be believed. Well, here she is.
The crowd is slowly realising who it is that's emerged on the balcony, because it takes a few seconds to sink in sometimes. The Duke of Kent is there, of course, as well, accompanying the Queen, as he does very often. He's Colonel of the Scots Guards. But I think once the crowd realises that Her Majesty's there, they'll go slightly mad. But they're probably slightly distracted as well by the sight of the guards going past. So, Katie, what did you make of this as the opening event?
Well, it just doesn't get any better. I mean, there's a reason why millions, Hugh, are turning in to BBC to watch this, because no one else, frankly, does pomp and pageantry like our armed forces. And as the head of the armed forces, this is an important moment for the Queen. The ceremony was 260 years old. Trooping the Colours marked the official birthday of the British sovereignty of that many years. It's a very special occasion, and I don't think we will ever see a pageant trooping of the colour ever again. So this is a moment to remember.
So the Household Cavalry returning, and Her Majesty, as ever, having a very, very close look. This is the inspection of the returning troops. Duke of Kent saluting, Colonel of the Scots Guards. And what we see, Jamie, is a monarch with an expert eye for the good things and, if there are any, slip-ups.
Yes, this is probably the most profound moment of the Queen's birthday parade. Normally it happens on horse guards, but it's when the guardsmen and the troopers of the Household Cavalry get to look their monarch in the eye, and vice versa. I remember when I was on parade, forget any smiles, this was a proper inspection, and she was looking for all the details, which she knows better than anybody.
Well, no better day for it, because it's clear, it's sunny, colours are dazzling, the detail is remarkable. Blues and Royals making their way past for the inspection, past the great memorial to Queen Victoria. Dark blue tunics and the red plumes. Their colonel, of course, is the Princess Royal, who is riding in the procession. Queen, who celebrated her birthday, and 96th birthday back in April. Today is the official birthday of the sovereign, and who decided that it might be better not to make the journey up to Horsguards today, but to stay at the palace and to inspect the troops in this way. More comfortable for her, and we'll all understand that. And of course, there will be that appearance with the working members of the royal family. That's important, Katie, isn't it? Because it won't be just anyone turning up on the balcony today. It's clearly defined. It's those who are working members of the family.
Yes, absolutely. That balcony appearance is always incredibly important. You can read as much, I think, into who is on the balcony as to who is not, but we know that there will be 17 members of the family alongside the Queen, and they will be working members of the royal family. I think that's also an opportunity, Hugh, for the Queen to thank those that she calls her substitutes for being out there day in and day out, working tirelessly for Her Majesty the Queen, flying the flag of Britain, not just here in the United Kingdom, but around the world.
The drum majors leading the bands counterclockwise direction this time around that Queen Victoria Memorial. The Queen ready once again to inspect them as they march past. Bands first, and then the guards who took part in the birthday parade itself, led of course by the Irish Guards. We'll be seeing a lot of this setup, Katie, in the next few days, won't we? Because we have that concert on Saturday, we have other events as well. Today, by the way, the Royal British Legion arranged tickets for lots of people, deserving members of the public, to come along and sit in these stands, which are not normally there, of course. So they've had a great vantage point for this last hour of the parade, and they'll get a bird's eye view of the flight past.
Well, they will, and it's wonderful. There's seating there, and you're going to see the Mall fill up in the most spectacular way. And obviously, this is the central focal point of these Platinum Jubilee celebrations. I think it's also worth pointing out it's the first time we've seen the Queen at Buckingham Palace for a couple of years now, since before the COVID pandemic. So very special to see her back at Monarchy HQ, Buckingham Palace, resplendent in this wonderful spring sunshine. Thank goodness the sun is shining.
I have to say, Jamie, I am fascinated. There's a long conversation going on between the Queen and the Duke of Kent. They're obviously comparing notes and pointing to this section of the Guards and that section, and I'd love to know what they say.
So would I, and I think the Guardsmen, if they see the pointing going on, will be in sixes and sevens about whether to be pleased they're being pointed at or not.
Prince of Wales leading the royal party back into Buckingham Palace, through the archway, into the central section of Buckingham Palace, before they reappear upstairs on that balcony in a short while. Now this is the moment you were talking about earlier, Jamie, and applying it again to the foot guards, that moment of eye contact, although it's more distant today than it would be on the parade ground, but it's still the normally ride in the carriage. We have seen it with the Queen, certainly since the late Duke of Edinburgh stopped attending public events some years before his death. The Duke of Kent is a very prominent participator in these great state events. We have a very visible sign of the changing of the guard in the forecourt of Buckingham Palace. Majesty has returned inside, but we will see her again, fear not. And maybe a good moment, Jamie, as we see the changing of the guard, just to explain very quickly that the escort has some work to do.
It does. It hasn't finished yet for the escort. They now go on to Queen's Guard, as it's called, at Buckingham Palace and at St James's Palace, taking over from the old guard, which was drawn from the Coldstream Guards, as you can see. They've got a few more hours of duty left.
So the guard is being changed, as Jamie was saying. It's a bit of a long day for the members of the escort who've now going to be on guard in Buckingham Palace and St James's Palace. So from Coldstream to Irish Guards. So as the guard is changed, we're mindful, of course, of the fact that there are lots of people around who are now getting quite excited about the prospect of the fly past in a short while. And just outside Buckingham Palace, just the other side of the railings, I know that JJ Chalmers is there, and I think JJ is with a special guest there, so let's join him. Well, I think I mentioned this to Katie earlier, to see a focus on Buckingham Palace, which actually has taken a bit of a backseat in the last few years.
It really has, Hugh. I mean, the phrase "it's good to be back" springs to mind so much, doesn't it? You see these crowds, people together, this sense of coming together again, this sense of community, and I think that is so much at the heart of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee message. She said in that statement that we received overnight that she wants her Jubilee to be a chance to make happy memories, not just here in the United Kingdom, but around the Commonwealth as well. And we're making happy memories today.
And this is what people have come to see. This is the great wave of people who've been waiting patiently to make their way down the Mall as far as they can go, now that all the troops have returned to barracks. They'll get, some of them will get a fantastic view towards the lower end, but honestly, lots of people will be very happy just to be on the Mall today. It's such a big day. We heard earlier from rather prominent people paying their own tributes to Her Majesty. There was a tribute to the Queen from former President Obama, and indeed there are plenty of other prominent tributes. So let's see what others have had to say.
Your Majesty.
Lots of smiles from the Duchess of Cambridge and Duchess of Cornwall. They clearly enjoyed themselves, and the three little ones waving as if it were their duty, which of course it is, but they seem to be enjoying it anyway.
They do, isn't it? Wonderful sights of the guards marching off horse guards. Places have a spirituality, and for all of the guardsmen on parade today, this now has a special spiritual place in their heart.
Those of you watching at home, around the world, wherever you are, we are enjoying the Queen's birthday parade, and we will see Her Majesty at Buckingham Palace well, quite soon, I think, because I think it's the Queen's intention to come back onto the balcony to inspect the troops as they return to the palace, and then of course to return to the balcony after that for the fly past, which should be a minute or so before 1 o'clock for those of you who want to be very precise and set your clocks. But for Charlotte and for Louis and for George, it'll be a fly past the likes of which they've not seen before, and indeed many of us won't have seen anything like it before, with 70 aircraft marking 70 years of the Queen's reign, and it'll include some of the most iconic aircraft, modern and historic. There's a lot of heritage involved in the flypast today, but a lot of statement about the modern technology and power of the UK Armed Forces as well. The stands that you can see there, well, they've all been erected for that concert, the Platinum Jubilee concert, which takes place tomorrow, looking part on Saturday night. As we see this great site and the heritage and the tradition involved, Jamie, I'm just reminded of the fact that this is one of those very valuable parts of heritage which speaks of continuity. Of course, it speaks of new generations of the royal family and others in the armed services taking part, but ultimately this is a statement about tradition and about continuity, and that gives people reassurance.
It does, and I think this parade actually, as much as anything else, represents an affirmation of the relationship, not just between Her Majesty and her foot guards, but also with the people of Great Britain. And we've seen the crowds out on the Mall, and there's that lovely triangulation taking place.
So as I was saying, plenty to look forward to today after the formal end of the birthday parade. And we are still waiting to see the King's Troop riding into Hyde Park, as they will be. They've preceded the lifeguards here and the Blues and Royals. They're already on their way to fire that resounding 82-gun salute, after which the Queen will be leading the family onto the balcony to watch that fly past attack. If we look in the background there, just under the flags, we'll see some of the streetliners. They're from the 1st Battalion Coldstream Guards. We must mention them because they've done a sterling job today. It's not in the limelight on Horse Guards Parade. It's still very important, standing patiently since the long procession began. They're commanded by Lieutenant Colonel David Marsham. A word about the streetliners. We see the Princess Royal passing some of them now, because, of course, lots of them are sporting the new Jubilee medal as well.
Yes, absolutely. The streetliners are first out, last in, and they have to stand there all through the parade. Some of the compensation, you hear some wonderful comments from the crowd behind you when you're standing there. It actually keeps you going. Coldstream Guards, nulli secundus, rightly, their motto translates as second to none, the honour of service.
Through the haze of the heat and the massive collection of Union Jacks that have been hung all the way down towards Admiralty Arch, which leads on to Trafalgar Square. This great configuration designed by Sir Aston Webb at the turn of the 20th century, now of course familiar around the world as a prime ceremonial route. Union flags conveying their own message about the nature of the event. Of course, a celebration of the Queen's record-breaking reign, but the Union flag is turning up in lots of different places today, on umbrellas and on waistcoats. I've seen people wearing socks with Union flags on them, and the odd tie as well. One person asked if I'd wear a Union flag tie on the 10 o'clock news, and I politely declined, not because I wasn't being patriotic, Katie, but because I felt that I would then be asked to wear lots of ties.
Well, the policeman that let me through the gates this morning just had to show me his Union Jack themed socks. And I said, I hope you're going to stop there. But I think this is an opportunity to get the bunting out. It's an opportunity to feel very proud of our Queen, proud of our country. And millions will be watching this around the world. I can tell you, I was on the Mall yesterday. The atmosphere was electric. People who'd been camping out overnight to make sure they got the very best seats, the best seats to witness what we're about to witness, that all-important balcony moment.
Well, quite a job for the police as they try to arrange this flow of people in an orderly way. A short while ago we heard from Alan Titchmarsh, but we have another special guest who's going to talk again to JJ.
Yes, you are.
In Green Park, very often on the day of the birthday parade, but they're up in Hyde Park today, a bigger park for a bigger gun salute. And that gun salute will be taking place shortly, but we can see now the crowd still making its way, and it's in 2 or 3 sections, so by the time it's all together, I think we'll see the Mall pretty full by the time that we reach just before 1 o'clock. And the highlight of the morning, if I can say that, because we've already had several highlights with the parade itself, but the highlight probably for lots of people will be to see Her Majesty leading a family onto the balcony. And it's lovely to see people having made the journey here and often taking lots of trouble, spending their own money on transport, and really at times when, you know, people are feeling the pinch in terms of cost of living, they'll come here because they really want to show their support and their affection for Her Majesty. So it's a lovely thing to see, and we have a great sight here from the top end of the Mall. This is looking back towards Trafalgar Square, if I can just explain the geography. To the left-hand side here, we have Clarence House and St James's Palace. To the right, we have St James's Park. So that gives you a sense of the direction here. All of them moving right down to Buckingham Palace itself. So as the crowd makes its way, let's join JJ once again.
Yes, I'm with John Westlake, veteran of the RAF from the Second World War, and Paul Jenkins, a Royal Navy veteran as well. Now, John, I know you watch this on TV every year. How does it feel to be here?
It's amazing. It's an experience of a lifetime, and I'll never see another one like it.
I don't think any of us will, in fairness. Of course, you served in the Normandy campaigns during the Second World War. The Queen has such an affinity with the Second World War generation. Why do you think that is?
Well, she was in the ATS herself, so she knows what soldiers have to go through. We've always highly respected her, and it's been an amazing experience for her to be in the army and to be able to rub soldiers, speak to soldiers, and they've been able to speak to her. It's been amazing.
I mean, she's the boss at the end of the day.
Of course, but I feel greatly honoured to be here. I mean, she's an amazing lady. She
For Her Majesty.
Something of this scale does take time, and we start a number of months out. My role is to look after planning and execution of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee flight past, where we look at the numbers of aircraft and the numbers of people that are going to be involved. We cover all the 3 services and all of the countries that make up the United Kingdom to contribute towards this flight past.
Take off, so it'll be 2 pairs and a singleton. It'll be a 5-second stream within the elements.
We go through a whole planning cycle to develop how we're going to get over the palace on time and in good order.
I'll be the lead pilot of the lead aircraft in the Wildcat Mark II, and I'll be the observer in the left-hand seat of the Wildcat, so I'll be doing the navigation. We use a simulator to run through the mission. It enables us to fly the route that's over London through airspace that's not always open to us. So can you see that glass in the middle of the room? Make sure the route that we have planned works with the timings, and hopefully we'll have got to the right place at the right time. There's an element of nerves because obviously we're at the front, so we're leading the formation, but the nerves are there for a good reason because it means that you want to do the best for the armed forces in general.
We're based here at RAF Lossiemouth as part of the UK's anti-submarine patrol. The professional fly past that you will see, that doesn't happen on its own. A lot of work goes into that behind the scenes.
Ascot 126, clear for takeoff, surface wind 26009. My role as project officer is to ascertain what sort of a commitment wise air traffic control are going to have to provide during the fly past for all of the assets that we'll need to speak to on the day. It's quite complicated to put something of this scale together from a planning process. It's really actually opened my eyes into how much effort goes in behind the scenes.
The Atlas A400M is a massive aircraft. We weigh about 90 tonnes. That's similar to a HDB vehicle that you'd see on the roads.
The fly past itself is timed down to the second. There is no margin for error.
There's quite a large element of nerve to make sure that we get it right, because what we're doing isn't actually very easy. JJ sent the route data card. We'll put that data in, get that squared away.
The C-17 is the heaviest aircraft we have in the Royal Air Force fleet.
How much to treat?
The accuracy that we ask of our pilots and aircrew is demanding. Plus or minus 5 seconds, keeping it exactly in the right place so it looks perfect for Her Majesty. We're talking feet in terms of how close the aircraft are flying.
You've got to bring two very fast-moving objects together in a controlled manner, and you've got to try and do that quickly, but not so quickly that you end up arriving, clapping.
It's really simple. Military aircraft don't fly without these support people.
I am an avionics technician on the RAF Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. These are like 80 years old, some of them. Compared to a one-day aircraft, which has many computers like Typhoon, loads of software-driven items, this literally is held together by nuts and bolts and pieces of wire and strings that connect the flying controls. It's just a whole different world.
For the Platinum Jubilee flypast, I was the Lancaster captain on the day. The engineering of this aircraft is of utmost importance. For us to be able to put these aircraft across the top of central London, it has to be right.
What a noise. Lieutenant Stuart Roberts, Red 2 with the Royal Air Force Aerobatic Team, the Red Arrows. I'll be flying on the wing of Red 1 as we conclude the ceremony. It's going to be my first time doing that, and I'm hugely honoured and privileged to be doing it. The Queen's Platinum Jubilee Flypast is a one-time event. There is no second go if we get it wrong.
Uniting with thousands of other military personnel on the day to show appreciation to Her Majesty the Queen and her service is an immense honour.
I'm really, really excited. I know I'm going to feel a lot of pride as they go ahead, but also a little bit of nerves as they make sure they get it right.
I hope that when people see us, they don't just see an aircraft, they see and understand the body of people that it takes to put these aircraft up in the air.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and to be able to say contributed to something like this is just incredible.
We get to fly over London and millions of people get to see what we do. It's an absolute honour, it's brilliant.
This is one of the biggest events of the year to celebrate the Queen's 70 years on the throne, and to join with thousands of other military personnel to make it an epic occasion, I think is really special, and the fact that there will be over 70 aircraft taking part is something to be really proud of.
Well, if that doesn't whet the appetite, nothing will. Now look at this great vista, and that's the expanse of Hyde Park. Park Lane just on the south of the screen there, the bottom of the screen, and then you have the expanse of Hyde Park and the Serpentine ahead of us, and that is where the King's Troop will be firing that gun salute. And they've started already 82 salutes for this Platinum Jubilee. The interval between each round of fire is 10 seconds. officer, Major Franz Sykes, who's giving the orders. So the gun salute is happening, and it's being felt and heard all around this part of London. And now we can see the extent of people spending on flags and all kinds of Jubilee memorabilia.
£2 billion.
Expressions of thanks. And you can imagine that people are now really keen to flow around clockwise and anti-clockwise this big stage that's been put up for the concert. And there's the Mall, a scene which really you can't forget. A sea of people who've come to pay their tribute to a record-breaking queen, longest-serving monarch in British history, who's just celebrated her 96th birthday. And as we look at the palace and we've got all eyes on the balcony, Katie, this is actually a very significant occasion.
It's hugely significant, and I'm thinking back to the Queen and that remarkable speech that she delivered to the nation when she said during the COVID pandemic, "We will meet again." And those words come to mind very much today, because that's exactly what we're all doing. We are all here, we're all meeting again, and we're all here for Her Majesty the Queen. I suspect that she wants this to be a chance to unite the nation. It absolutely is. But it must also be a celebration of a remarkable life, and here she is.
The doors are opening, and listen to the reaction of this delighted and grateful crowd. Her Majesty the Queen, leading the Prince of Wales, who's just taken the salute on her behalf at the birthday parade for the very first time. Duchess of Cornwall, Princess Royal and husband Timothy Lawrence, the Earl of Wessex. And Jamie is someone who knows the family and knows the armed forces, and we see the 3 Cambridge children here, which again is the first time we've seen them taking part formally at an event like this. What's going through your mind?
I think the fact that Her Majesty is surrounded by her family is one thing. Just the fact that she is. It's a wonderful sort of generational thing going on too, with Her Majesty's birthday, the Prince of Wales leading the parade, and Prince William's regiment, the Duke of Cambridge's regiment, the Irish Guards, trooping the colour. It's a fantastic symmetry.
Look at the skies. Everyone now very excited to see this, well, fly past on a scale that we've not seen for many, many years.
Just a word.
The special formation. So look out for the number 70 at one point. And George and Charlotte and Louis being encouraged to focus on the skies above, and the Queen too saying, have a look at that. Being led by an aircraft formation of helicopters from the Royal Navy to start with as the senior service, a mix of Wildcats and Merlins and Apaches. And here goes the Platinum Jubilee fly past on this day of the Queen's official birthday. Queen surrounded by those working members of the royal family, specially invited by her to be on this balcony to share this experience. Queen, a very sharp focus on the approaching helicopters. Leading the way is a Royal Navy Wildcat. followed by 2 Merlins, and then another Wildcat, followed by 3 Apaches operated by the British Army. And then there'll be another Wildcat, followed by 3 Merlins. Pumas from the Royal Air Force and 3 Chinooks from the Royal Air Force too. Chinooks unmistakable and filling the air, filling the skies with this thunderous noise. Now this should be familiar to lots of people. This is much loved. It's the Royal Air Force Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. The Lancaster, only 2 of those in a condition to fly these days, 3 Spitfires and 2 Hurricanes. And there'll be a big cheer for the Lancaster and the Spitfires and the Hurricanes, with memories of the Battle of Britain and what was achieved there. Loves that. Over the skies, over Buckingham Palace and beyond. 3 RAF Hercules C-130s, proper workhorses. They were heavily involved, of course, the Hercules, in Operation Pitting, which was the UK's evacuation of civilians from Afghanistan last year, who were more than 15,000 people from Kabul. What we have here, I think, is the Poseidon and the rivet joint. These are the ones that use the very latest technology to detect and identify and monitor targets above and below the waves. Poseidon and the rivet. The rivet using sensors to survey and to intercept and exploit signals across the electromagnetic spectrum. Very important part in intelligence gathering. And here we have the Voyager, one Lightning and one Typhoon as well, coming in the wider formation. Skies above Buckingham Palace in central London. 4 Royal Air Force Hawk T2s. Valley. And the future pilots of fast jets training on the Hawk after training on the Texan before that. And there we have the formation of 70, special formation of 15 Typhoons. The Queen smiles in appreciation. Perfect formation. Oh, that's wonderful. But it's pretty noisy. And here we are, the climax of the Platinum Jubilee fly past. No better sight in red, white and blue. 9 Hawks. The RAF aerobatics team, the Red Arrows. You get the sense, Katie, that the Queen rather enjoyed that, smiling all the way.
Oh, he will. You know what they say, when the Queen smiles, she lights up a room. Well, she's lit up the Mall and beyond today. She looked like she was enjoying every moment, and to see her interact with her little great-grandchildren like that was just a joy to watch.
And listen to the response when the Queen waves. People want her to understand that they are sending their good wishes too. It's palpable, isn't it?
It absolutely is. There was no guarantee that we would see the Queen today. We know she's been battling with these episodic mobility problems, but here she is. She wants to be seen, and she's doing that in the most splendid way.
The anthem is played. That signals crowd shows its appreciation once again that the monarch, who wasn't able to attend the parade itself, was nonetheless determined to appear not once but twice on that balcony to acknowledge A, the troops, and B, of course, the huge crowd, all of them wishing Her Majesty